Back in the 60s, post-Elvis and pre-New Kids, out of a TV show called Here Come the Brides, arose a shy, stuttering, shiny teen idol in the character of Jeremy Bolt, as portrayed by one Bobby Sherman. And the bonus to all who stood to profit from the worship he inspired was that Bobby was not just an actor, he was also a talented musician and singer. The hit records were soon tumbling out of him, and he showed up to appear at a local telethon in my hometown of Buffalo, New York. My Aunt Jerry succumbed to our badgering and took us kids down to WKBW-TV, where we found a parking lot teeming with screaming girls. Bobby appeared at the window with a beautiful smile, a wave, and his trademark peace sign. The parking lot levitated. This may be where he first realized that his life was about to change. The girls went bonkers. Bobby was a bona fide teen idol. Later that night, my sister Amy stood in my doorway and asked if she could borrow one of my teen magazines. This was odd. She was generally too cool for anything I was into. I said sure, and she confessed that she really liked Bobby. My younger sister Joanne was a bit miffed. She had claimed him first. My mother took to calling him her son-in-law. I found Bobby adorable, but allowed Amy and Joanne to duke it out over Bobby, as my true loves remained the Cowsills. Joanne, at age 9, had taken the early lead, getting in when Bobby's visage first appeared on our TV screen as the brides made their way up to the Pacific Northwest to the lonely loggers of 19th century Seattle, where the hills are the greenest green, according to the opening song. But then Amy's parking lot encounter captured her heart, and she was involved. Scoring hit after hit with Hey Little Woman, Julie Do You Love Me, and Easy Come, Easy Go, Bobby came through Buffalo often, and from the audience, I happily covered these events with my Polaroid land camera. But our quiet, industrious, private, purposeful big sis was making plans. Unbeknownst to us, Amy had befriended WKBW Radio's Sandy Beach, who told her where Bobby was staying. On her one-speed Huffy, Amy pedaled 7 miles to the Charterhouse Hotel and began staking out the lobby. She noticed that a number of room keys in a row were missing, assessed that this must be his entourage, and headed to that hallway, where she watched room service trays go in and out, and by process of elimination determined which room was Bobby's. She boldly slid a note under the door, and she waited. The note was pulled in. 15 minutes later, Bobby appeared, smiling. Amy gave him a hug and an incense burner. He flashed his peace sign, and Amy floated back onto her Huffy and into a reality where she had now privately created a personal encounter with Bobby Sherman. 2 weeks later, a letter arrived in the mail, addressed to Amy with the return address of Bobby Sherman. What? The time had come for her to do some explaining. With mouths agape, we heard about Sandy Beach and the hotel and the keys and the room service and the note and the incense burner, but the letter would remain hers alone. A week later, my cousin Lois was over. Amy was out, and Lois, my own personal Eddie Haskell in that one particular moment, said, "Hey, let's go into Amy's room and find the letter from Bobby Sherman." My arm was pre-twisted. In we went, and of course it was under her mattress, and of course it read, "Hey Amy, thanks for the groovy incense burner." We placed it carefully back into its hiding place and quietly slipped out of her room. That summer at camp, Amy was visiting my cabin, and she said, "Hey, do you have any letters from Lois? Because Lois wrote amazing letters." I innocently handed Amy the latest letter from Lois, in which she read, "I sure hope Amy never figured out that we searched her room and found the letter from Bobby Sherman." Oh boy, I am not certain exactly how I survived through that day, but I was ultimately able to atone for my transgression by inviting both of my sisters to join me whenever I interviewed Bobby Sherman for Premier Radio. Bobby was always gracious and lovely, but somewhat evasive as to whether or not he had regifted the groovy incense burner.